Hi, I'm Wes Allen with DM Tales, and last week was busy, 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 which has left my brain a little bit discombobulated. But I've got some random TTRPG thoughts for you. Let's roll it. I've run a lot of pre-written adventures lately, both for Numenera and Dragonbane, and it is a much different experience than what I've been used to in the past where I wrote all my own stuff, but I've enjoyed it more than I thought I would, and that's pretty cool. So I did not get my grant that I was hoping would allow me to go to both Gen Con and Gamehole Con next year, but I am still hoping to get to Gamehole Con in 2025. I have a pile of superhero games and or supplements to read, review, and play. I am rather excited about this prospect, and I'm hoping that I might, just might, be able to do a whole month dedicated to nothing but superheroes. We'll see how that works out. One of the things about Numenera is that you're supposed to make it weird, and I have a wonderfully weird location that I'm working on for my Numenera campaign. I just need to find time to sit down to flesh it out, and I might also redo the map that I made for it, but I cannot wait for my players to actually get there. I ran my first Shadow Dark Gauntlet yesterday and had a blast. I actually used an analog kitchen timer for my torch timer and it worked great. It actually went off just as a battle was getting started because no one was paying attention, which is so cool. And I think the players all had a good time, so that really makes me feel good. I think perhaps the most epic moment of the entire event was when one replacement character rolled that dice on the table to see where they would pop up, and I had them emerge from a nearby coffin where they had been hiding, and they ended up stabbing a giant spider to death with a grappling hook. That was so cool. Shadow Dark is a ton of fun, and I'm looking forward to playing it some more in the future. So, my appreciation for different styles of RPGs has expanded the more that I've read and played different games over the last few years since I got this channel started. It has been really cool to grow my appreciation for the wider TTRPG hobby, and I recommend to everyone to spread a wide TTRPG net. It just makes this hobby so much more fun. One of the cool things about the hobby nowadays is that the little communities we build through it aren't limited to folks who play at our tables. We can meet folks at conventions and stay connected through Discord. We can accept invitations to play systems we haven't ever tried and experience other playstyles with new GMs and a whole group of players that we've never played with before. That's really cool. And for GMs, we have access to a huge pool of folks who we can bounce ideas off of. It is a great time to be in the TTRPG hobby, and I'm really excited to see what the future holds. So, two things happened leading up to EcclesiaCon Day of Adventure, which made me really glad. First, somebody from church just came up and said, "Well, I'm not going to play, but I want to buy two tickets so that someone else can play that you can just give away. So, here's $40. Buy the two tickets and then use the extra 10 and just use that to raise funds for Book Smiles. That was the organization we were raising money for. And I did. Some folks called up and said, well, I got stuck with a couple people who both like playing. We weren't expecting them to be here, but can we play? And I said, hey, I got two tickets you can use. No problem. That worked out really, really well. And at the same time, Ron from Philly Area Gaming Expo offered two free weekend passes to come to page 2 in January to raffle off. And folks really jumped in that raffle, and we ended up almost doubling the amount that we would have raised just through ticket sales alone. All told, for such a small event, we ended up raising $500 for Book Smiles, and I'm really glad we were able to do that. Helping kids develop a love of reading is something that I am excited to be part of, and I'm glad we're able to do that. My last 2 months have been filled with a lot of sorrow and grief because I've been caring for a lot of folks who have lost loved ones. And to be honest, I'm one of those people. My family lost a close family friend, someone I literally grew up with. It was pretty much part of our family. And it's been a very difficult road. There have been two things that have buoyed me in this season, and only one of them is something that's not linked to my actual vocation, and that's my TTRPG hobby. Folks, recreation, especially in a time of stress and grief and sorrow, and when you're carrying more burdens than we think we can bear, it's really important. Do not let anyone tell you that hobbies are a privilege that other folks don't get to have and that you shouldn't be upset when you don't get to use them. Recreation is important. It helps recenter our brains, our hearts, our minds, and allows us to get on with life. Enjoy it. If you think you might enjoy GMing a game, my advice to you is just do it. Folks think that they can't think up stuff, but it's really not true. And also, that's not what the improv part of GMing is. You're not just making up things whole cloth out of the ether. You're working off of what other people are doing. You're riffing off the story they're telling with you. You're bending a world because of someone else's actions. And folks, we do that in real life all the time by instinct. Whenever we anticipate what folks around us are going to be doing and then we respond accordingly, well, that's a skill that's very akin to GMing a game. It's not as alien as you might think. The biggest difference is that when we're GMing a game as opposed to real life, we need to take notes at the table so we can recall that one thing that the party fixates on that we just thought that was a throwaway name that we wouldn't have to come back to later. I have a whole list of shopkeepers and coffee brands and a whole bunch of other things that my basic fantasy RPG table has fixated on that have become core parts of the story simply because they thought it was interesting and I had to come up with a name on the fly. So much fun, really. If you think you might enjoy it, jump in, do it. All right, last week I got no reading done. Not in Pendragon, not in any of the Monty Cook Games books that I'm trying to read. I didn't even pick up Electric State and allow that to suck me in because it was just brutal with my schedule. I did not have the right mental space in order to do it, and I was prepping for EcclesiaCon Day of Adventure at the same time, so that took up most of my hobby and recreation time. So I'm a little bit behind. I've got a script that I am working on for a video this week about so you want to become a dungeon tuber, giving just a little bit of advice which I think might be helpful. I'm hoping that can get up by the end of this week. I need to finish writing it and then videoing it. And then I am going to dive back into Pendragon and also Above the Sky or Claim the Sky for the superhero supplement for Monty Cook Games Cipher System, and I'm hoping to get those two books read pretty quickly so that I can get reviews of them done. Do have some other things that I'm working on as well, and I'm hoping to bring them all to you as soon as I can. But until we see each other again, folks, happy playing, everyone.